All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are into the next 1v1, and it's gonna be, to say the least, an interesting one. Victoria versus Newbee, and as you can all see on the screen, it's gonna be Techies versus Demon. My.
Oh yeah, I do like Victoria's Techies. Like that's a good look at the very least. You know, it's gonna look good. It's not. It's gonna be. I mean, think about this. Level 1, Shadow Poison. You stack it up in Techies. He's not particularly fast. And what does Techies do? He suicide. I guess if you time it. That's just. It's not exactly easy to get anything done in this lane. So.
What do you do? Like it's gonna be a weird one though, because you do have the blast off, but that does do a lot of damage, and if you are the Shadow Demon, you can't get caught off guard. Like Mugi can't really let his HP drop too much, otherwise Victoria could just blow him up pretty quick. But what do you do with these mines? Like, do you actually bother going for the mines at all? You have to, right? Like, it's just too much damage not to go for.
Yeah. At the very least, you can shove out wave with your mines, so you have that going for you on this 1v1 mid. There's some potential there to shove out the wave with the mines, I suppose, and maybe do damage to the towers as well. You can get that done. I just think Shadow Demon up against 1v1 to sustain it. Like level 1, maybe it's the best shot Techies has before you can see the disruption come out. So if you manage to jump onto Mugi before he has 5 stacks on you, or well, probably like 3 stacks considering the damage you do to yourself, you can maybe clean them up with a blast off, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough though. So we'll find out how exactly Victoria does run this.
It's not going to be too long as the laning stage is about to start. The blocks are out. Definitely giving one of the most interesting heroes in a 1v1 matchup. You've really got no right-click damage as the Techies. Huge amounts of range, but a terrible animation. Terrible right-click damage. So the last hits from Victoria are going to be almost impossible. If you're Victoria, surely you've just got to... Alright? He'll place a mine down. He actually goes for that over the blast off. That is the only way to secure CS if you're on Victoria in this matchup. Mugi can always kind of kill them off and get a bit of extra gold out of it. You know what, Victoria, he's playing this pretty well. He's pushing the creep wave underneath that tier 1 tower, and that's going to make it a lot harder for Mugi to actually secure his own CS.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for Mugi. I mean, Shadow Demon isn't particularly easy to last hit with, but Techies at least has some mines to play around with, so Mugi is not finding the last hits he needs, and just really good mine usage here from Victoria.
He brought out 3 mangoes automatically. Now, smart decision, gets the magic wand, understands Mugi's going to be spamming the Shadow Poison like no tomorrow, get as much value out of the stick as you can. I wonder, like, if this Techies, like, he's probably just gonna legitimately keep buying mango. Like, if you were in this 1v1, that's all you would do, right? In fact, he may have put himself in an awkward position. Victoria has to be careful right now. Mugi does get this disruption. This could be first blood, as he has 3 stacks. 1 more would do it for Mugi, I believe, and it does. He finds the first blood. Victoria calls the GG. Nice quick 1v1. Close call, a bit early for the blast off.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else you can do in that matchup. Good try. Like, he could have taken it slow and chipped away, but I don't reckon he wanted to get that done anyway. Oh.
Dire Radiant team ban. Dire team ban.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back into the second series in the first draft of this best of three between CDEC and Newbee. It is MLP Dota and John X Fire. John, first time we're going to be seeing Newbee in this DPL-CDA League. I wonder, how do you think they'll perform in this first series?
I expect them to kind of be middle of the pack. Their performance is fairly consistent, and honestly, it does put them a couple of steps above, especially promotion teams. I think you'd expect them to be able to at least be able to eke it out against them. I think historically, when they play against like CDEC, teams like that, they do tend to manage to leverage their experience there. So I do expect them to be the favorites coming into this one, but it can be a bit of a toss-up. There are moments where Newbee can look a bit inconsistent, and CDEC, you know, they have had a bit of a rough start, but I think they have the potential of bringing it to Newbee. It's just that Newbee does have a lot more going for them here.
Yeah. CDEC has really shown some moments of brilliance. Can't underestimate this team too much, but I like the fact that Newbee, they've clearly done their homework. They do get rid of that Void Spirit that we see XM running all the time. To great effectiveness, so they're not going to make CDEC will really allow them to have that option available. And Newbee, their first pick, they do go ahead. They end up taking the Pangolier for themselves, and I can't say I'm surprised. This hero has just been so popular through the current meta.
Yeah, that just enables a lot of early movements out for the team that picks it up. It gives you great team fight and control, and that laning presence is still pretty darn good. A lot of laning partners that you could pair up with a Pangolier that just worked out fine, so it gives you a lot of flexibility in that opening. But with this opportunity, and without it being banned out, CDEC go immediately to that Ember Spirit. So another hero that we tend to see a lot of, highly mobile, great damage, and of course you do have some flexibility in where to run it, so CDEC takes the opportunity and picks it up.
You know, and of course, if you got the Ember, you take the Grimstroke for yourself. It's the funny thing, right? You had first pick for Newbee, so they took the Pangolier, but you must have known the Grimstroke was going to come, as it does every single time. And with the Grimstroke, it's always, if this duo is available, they pick it up every single time without a doubt.
It just allows you to get a lot of value from your Ember. Of course, just having two heroes kind of stuck together for a long time with that ult, and the added control that you can get with the Grimstroke is pretty darn nice. Newbee responds with a Dazzle. So we are seeing that Dazzle come out once more. It is more than likely going to be a core, of course, just giving you a lot of sustain, some presence in team fights. I have to say, the performance has been somewhat middling. Overall, I don't think it's had the most positive impact as of yet. But of course, there is a reason why a lot of teams have been trying it out. It has some really strong presence. It does take some time to build up, but once it is up and running, you can get a lot of work done. Now, the one issue I have with Newbee's opening is that you don't have the best pieces of control here for the Ember. Pangolier doesn't really keep that hero in its place, neither does Dazzle. So there's a lot of opportunity for CDEC to have this Ember dip in and out, and Newbee, they're going to have to pick something up down the line that will give them a solid piece of control to keep that Ember in place.
Absolutely. CDEC will wait on this one. Then, of course, Newbee, they did end up getting rid of the Terrorblade. No team really wanting to see that hero, and yeah, it's been very on and off the Terrorblade. We're seeing it lose more than it wins, but teams seem to like it quite a bit right now. They're going to take a bit more time for this fifth ban out, and you do really want to try and make sure that you don't have this Ember affected too much, but they go for the Morphling ban. We pick up here if you see it.
You don't tend to see a lot of teams prioritize that Soulbind combination, so I don't expect anything too hard coming out from there. You do have to maybe consider that Shallow Grave from the Dazzle, but Axe has been a very dead hero, so we're not probably going to see that. It hasn't been a major concern for a lot of teams. I'd like to see maybe something push-oriented, something we tend to see when you have the Grimstroke and the Ember. Just kind of want something to give you some objective push. Perhaps we could see the Beastmaster come out for them. It's something that they could pick up if they wanted to. They go with the Shaman instead. So you have the push there. You have something that works with the Soulbind. And it can really give your team a lot of momentum. You have to play around that cooldown on the Serpent Wards quite well. It's not the shortest cooldown in the world, but does give you solid control, solid laning presence. Not the most popular hero nowadays. So there are some holes here for Newbee to kind of manipulate, but overall I think this does kind of slot in quite nicely with CDEC's draft so far.
It's interesting seeing the Shaman pop up. Like, you were mentioning it's not very popular. It's shown up a couple times now in this league. It's been CDEC that has been running it every single time. I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I don't think it had the greatest influence the last time I saw it. So I see if CDEC can make it work. Newbee, of course, with his third pick. So many options to go for, but perhaps they just go for their own position 5 now, as we know the Dazzle will probably be run as a core.
Radiant team pick.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's a very unpopular Warlock pickup as well, so now 2 very unpopular position 5s being picked up, but I appreciate teams changing it up. I love seeing different heroes. I think with this new patch you may as well experiment while you can. Newbee, believe in the Warlock.
I like the Warlock. It's a really long cooldown to play around, even longer than the Shadow Shaman Ward, so Newbee will have to pace themselves with his hero. Of course, you can't allow the Warlock to lag behind the EXP. It is a bit of a greedier support as well. You're going to have to somehow spread that EXP out here with the Pangolier and the Warlock, and that's not the easiest thing to get done. Of course, it's still a possibility, but it is fairly greedy for all 3 heroes so far. Nonetheless, I think this does give you some control for the Ember. You're going to have to blow that Chaotic Offering every single time to catch that Ember, because that's really it for control from Newbee so far. There is a lot of synergy with the Fatal Bonds, especially that Pangolier. However, CDEC with the Underlord just really pile onto the control with the counter push as well, and it's going to make it much harder for Newbee to have a good time in their safe lane. You know, every safe laner is kind of struggling against the Underlord. Support duos from Newbee so far can maybe mitigate that a bit, but the Underlord overall isn't going to be threatened too hard with this kind of opening for Newbee.
I love the Underlord, because I don't think the Warlock can do anything to it. What kind of harassment can you really dish out to this hero that he's going to care about? Like, I think the only way Newbee really do with the Underlord is either you ignore it, or you pick up something like a Slark that really feeds off this kind of hero in the safe lane.
Yeah, honestly, I'd avoid that lane altogether. I think you'd want to swap it out. Maybe have the Dazzle lane against the Underlord. That does sound like it would have some potency. I just don't think you want any safe laner there. No matter what combination you have, Underlord just tends to eke out a better existence. I think when you factor in either Grimstroke or Shadow Shaman laning partner, that can be really hard to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing that Underlord, Newbee are going to take their time with this 4th pick. It may have put a bit of a spanner in the works for them. And that position 1 they were thinking about, maybe it's not such a good idea anymore for Newbee. They're going to use a lot of time. Only 8 seconds reserve time left for this 4th pickup now. Okay, Tidehunter comes out. Both these teams are choosing heroes we don't get to see every day, which is really nice to watch. I don't know how I feel about the Tidehunter. I guess there's not really much to control it, right? Because Kraken Shell just essentially purges off most disables anyway. So the Shaman, with all the control it does have, may not be quite as effective up against this Tidehunter.
Yeah, it does lock Newbee into some really heavy cooldowns. You already had a Warlock you had to worry about. Now you have a Ravage from the Tide that you have to really time yourself around. So they are limiting the game time where they can force these fights out. That's something CDEC is not really relying on beyond the wards from the Shadow Shaman, which is really just mainly used for the push, although they would need that burst damage for the Tide. But it just kind of slows the pace for Newbee, and it does look like maybe the Dazzle will be on safe and the Tide in the off, so you will have the Underlord up against the Dazzle. I think that's an easier time for that hero if they are going to go that route. It's not the most awe-inspiring kind of lane and awe-inspiring kind of safe laner. They're really going to have to try to kick it into gear pretty quick and try to find that early XP for the Dazzle, so you can really start to kick it up a notch once you have that 50% CDR. Before then, like the earlier levels of bad juju just kind of feel lackluster.
Yeah.
Radiant team pick.
Newbee, final pick. They go for the Lena. So, pos 1 Dazzle? Pos 1...
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
That's the only way I see that. Like, the Lena at least allows them to come in line fairly quick. Really, pretty darn okay up against the Ember. You are still lacking that ultra hard lockdown, so you're going to be depending on like a Ravage or Golem drop for the most part in a big team fight. But the Lena can follow up nicely. It eat right through the Underlord. Doesn't care about the subtraction on physical damage. Of course, Lena can right click pretty nice, but Underlord can be eaten through fine until the pipe comes out. That is another issue for Newbee. I have to say, with this kind of lineup from Newbee, I just don't like the reliance in cooldowns here. It's a bit too much on the Warlock and Tide, and that leaves a lot for CDEC to play around. But the moment that they see Newbee pop the Golem, pop the Ravage, CDEC can either just take their time farming or force fights after that. You know, even if they get wiped, they can just go back in. There's so much downtime for Newbee, and there's not much turnaround for them.
CDEC now to finish off their own draft. Unless it's going to be a mid Ember, which it definitely could be, but up against the laner, you probably want to just run the safe lane Ember. Run something else mid that doesn't get so heavily affected by this laner. Question is, what will it be?
Templar Assassin.
Okay, the TA pops out. Still have ways of going through the refraction charges. Like, Lena doesn't have that much of a difficult time just kind of hitting her way through them, but I like it. I think CDEC has this really nice lineup that could kind of snowball out of control, and you've been talking about the Newbee draft having such long cooldowns that they have to rotate around. The CDEC don't have that. All their heroes can just go at any time.
Yeah, that's a major issue for Newbee. They're going to really have to maximize that Golem and the Ravage every single time. They have to ensure that they can take these towers with the Chaotic Offering at the very least. And if they don't, like they take a team fight, they win, but they don't melt towers, you're giving time and space to CDEC to get bigger. You're not taking the space you need to maximize these long cooldown spells. And that just, it really takes a lot of momentum away from Newbee. So I like this closer from CDEC. I think the TA will allow them to eat through that squishy lineup Newbee has. Beyond the Tide, all these heroes aren't particularly tanky. Like, yeah, you have the Shallow Grave on Dazzle. We've seen it happen already. It hasn't been the highest impact. It just really is a bit of a delay. And a lot of times the Dazzles are forced to Shallow Grave themselves because they are cores. So that leaves everyone else free for the pickings here. And CDEC, with that Ember, with the TA, should be able to close that gap and melt through whatever heroes they want.
It'd be a pretty interesting matchup. Of course, this is the debut of Newbee in the DPL-CDA League is what I was trying to say. It'll be their debut. First game, first series. They'd love to start on a high note. They've definitely brought a very unique draft out.
Yeah.
See Noogie on that Dazzle, YG on the maybe on that Tide Hunter. Moving up to the top lane together. Wizard on the Pango. Was AQ gonna be on the mid laner?
Yeah, support Tide?
Yeah.
From YG?
Pos 4 Tide, Pos 3 Pango.
I mean,
I haven't seen that.
Tide can farm the jungle, so you can play greedy like this. It's you really will be shafting Fate though with this kind of left. Like there is no way Fate will be able to find anything left over by YZ. So He's just not going to get that progression on the Warlock. I think you're going to be expecting a pretty late chaotic offering. In fact, the book might also just go to YC as a pause forward. So there are things here for Newbee that can possibly concern. The laning presence can be quite fantastic though. Like the potential for Gush and the slows that could come out from Newbee, and of course the DOT on the Warlock can be devastating in the right hands. So if they can land all of those spells and chase people down, it's going to be a hard lane to run up against.
Already they kind of run towards James. James will not bother. YG just double checking to see if you can find another, but SRF is there to secure. That will still mean Newbee do start off with a 3 boundary advantage. So a nice little net worth lead to start off this side. And we will have a bit of a tri lane going on. Yeah, Poison Touch, DOT from Faith, and the Gush. All gonna be quite nice. Definitely some first block potential as you mentioned. Yeah, so no, never mind. They get Faith out of there. He'll go down to the bot lane as the Warlock. And YG do so. Gonna pick something up off his courier to be a nice salve. It's safe lane part of this Moogie Dazzle. I suppose the Dazzle doesn't need too much help in this laning phase.
He has a way of sustaining himself and shoving out the wave. I do worry about perhaps by level 3 when James has a lot more control and some nukes. That's gonna really cause a damper there. Although
already finds the first blood over onto the Ember. Ame losing his time. Looks like they just overextended, found themselves in an awkward tree line, and Wizard was there with the swashbuckle. And so Newbee already a great start for them for this game. Just trying to figure out what Wizard's up to. He's gonna go for a pull for now. I've never seen that kind of pull before. Doesn't work. Try something new. Really work out. James now gonna get gushed, but Aether's not gonna be there. Now Moogie gonna rotate, and he does have Poison Touch. Nice body box coming out of YZ, but there's gonna be a TP out from James, and he'll be perfectly fine. Oh, you disconnected, okay. I was gonna say, he tried to block again, usually going through this tree line. But he tried it again through the same one. Or the pool I was meant to say, not the block. Did not work out again for YG. So we'll have a look at mid lane where AQ is going to be up against XM for the TA. Though AQ has some huge range, then should have favorably match up string that bonus damage from refraction. Well, for now at least, AQ can't really get through all these refraction charges. Bot lane Victoria again going to fall quite low, and they do have Fatal Bonds on top of him. I don't think the Fatal Bonds is going to be enough to really put him down. He'll eat a tango anyway, just in case.
Has been killed.
That pretty close from Wizard, doesn't manage to latch, but this combination with a Warlock is actually applying a lot more pressure than you'd expect, though. You start to make a move on Wizard.
They'll try. That's what I'll call you up in a second anyway. Faith that has the natural heal available for his core Pangolier, so he can just keep pretty healthy through this match. Maybe he made it too far. Wizard swashbuckles away, tries the slot at Fierce. Doesn't really do much up against Wizard.
I think he was trying to slide fist right as the ink spell was going off, because the hero does get physically relocated there. It doesn't hit the time. It is a very tight window though, so can't fault him for trying it, at very least.
Kind of ridiculous that you can even try to do that. Ender Spirit's such a flexible hero. He's a bit too flexible.
Yeah, there's a lot of plays you can do with Slade Fist, but for now, back to farming. I think this actually really hurts CDEC a lot more, just having Victoria walk back. There's a long window where Ami is just going to have to cop all the grass coming out from Fate and Wizard.
Top lane seemingly going pretty well for Mugi on Dazzle as well. Like, SRF hasn't been able to find too much in the way of denies. In fact, he's got 0 right now. YG has been able to keep them away from his position 1 Dazzle. Mugi has been having a great old time.
Yeah.
So they do try and jump on SRF before that 5-minute boundary mark comes along. They won't get much out on SRF, but they do take out over half his HP, so you gotta be okay with that. YG looks to make the rotation now to get that boundary off the side of CDEC, but James does have shackles and will commit just before he gets the bounty. Now SRF will commit Firestorm, and that's going to be a fair bit of damage. James, he may have enough and does with the Ether Shock. They finish him off. Though bot lane, Arme goes down on the Ember.
It's not a good time for CDEC in this laning phase. Just having the Ember die to the constant harassment from Fate and Wizard is really not where you'd want to see this combination out. Maybe consider a lane swap, but they have Ame go right back to bot, and they're just not keeping up. Wizard is actually a level ahead. It's going to give him a lot more damage to play with Hero, though, all alone.
Chains now with the silence. The Inkswell will connect. No, it doesn't. The Swashbuckle was there just in time, but it still stunned him. Wizard does go down, so they do finally get a bit of a revenge off onto the Pangolier. That's a bit of good news for CDEC. Then that safe plan of theirs was going pretty horridly.
Yeah, there's just no presence here, and it is kind of surprising that they are still having this matchup. I think you would rather have that Ember up against maybe Mugi. You can sustain the damage a bit better, shove it out a bit more, and with a root that you have in the Underlord, you stop Wizard from really just zipping around. So there is a lot more if they did go for the swap, but they're just gonna let it be. I think Ame is just gonna have to cop it for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting a lot of faith into XM, who's been farming very well on that TA. James comes in for a bit of solo experience in the mid lane, but of course does leave as soon as XM is ready. XM will continue to just freely farm up. He is just so far ahead of AQ on the leader. AQ going to try and catch up a little bit in his own jungle with a double stack, but the TA can just jungle so much quicker if he chose to. In fact, XM will have to go back now.
This slower pace of game is playing into what Newbee wants. Like, this is allowing them to slowly reach their level 6s, and it's at this point where the heroes are kind of susceptible to just being shoved out, but CDEC is just not able to find that pressure with their own heroes. Like, you're not seeing that leading presence from the Shadow Shaman at all. James is just soaking mid, as he has been for the past few minutes. They can leave SRF alone, but you know, it's like you're really not kicking Newbee down when they're very vulnerable. It is allowing them to slowly build up here.
That's really the problem with these shaman picks, though, isn't it? Like, you just can't do much. Shackles and Hex is great and all that, but overall the hero just doesn't have that crazy lane impact it used to. Well, maybe once you have level 6, sure, you can do something with your team, but up until that point, you're kind of just almost like a lion, right? Like, he has a stun, he has a hex, but he doesn't do anything in lane.
Yeah, it's a tricky hero to really run now. I think the level 6 is going to be what they're looking at, although up top, SRF is getting poked a bit by YC. It's actually really favoring YC in the trades. Like, SRF takes very little damage, but he's not hitting back, so the Tidehunter just gets to shove him back, drags him down to very low HP, and just gives a lot more space to Mugi than you'd really expect.
We're going to get slow XP at the top lane as well. That plan as Mugi has the Necro 1 book, so he wants to join his team, trying to make a gank and maybe a push on this bot tier 1 tower super early on. We're thinking about going for all, but it does get cancelled with the chains. Still, he does want to go. Remnant forward from Arme, but Faith is there. You don't have a golem drop yet, and Wizard, where are you going, sir? He was waiting for the Remnant usage from Arme, but he's still holding on, and now Exceptional. And Faith goes down, and it looks like they're going to also lose Mugi. Wizard does eventually find Arme on the Ember, but I'm not sure if it's worth losing 2 of your own for that.
It's a nice kill for Newbee. They did lose their pause 1 for that, so it's a very big price to pay. I don't think it's worthwhile, although they did get it first, and you know, at the very least you have a lot more on that Dazzle. So you are slowing the pace here for Ame. You do force XM to rotate out, which gives you more space on AQ. You don't manage to leverage that Necro Book into a push, though. This is gonna just, you have a lot more breathing room towards CDEC.
You definitely want that level 6 on YG if they're gonna try and make those kind of plays, I think. Well, he's level 5 now. He'll have level 6 very, very soon, as he is just farming up so top lane. I think one fight, if you don't have the Ravage, you don't have the chaotic offering, it's just a couple minutes early. Well, Wizard gonna get caught out by the chains, now the silence, and the Inkswell, though no, he barely gets the swashbuckle off. While the Inkswell does land, he's still got to relocate himself. At least Ame does get the bounty bottle up for himself as well, so he'll be okay with it.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate. They haven't been able to land that Inkswell follow-up on the Ember too consistently just yet. And this is allowing Newbee to just kind of play around there. They are still somewhat leaving XM alone. I think that's the big thing that all of these movements from CDEC has done, is that XM has more than free farm. With the jungle farm now, he's at level 11, is rushing the Blink Dagger first. So he's really looking to set that pace for CDEC while waiting for Ame to get big. And as long as Newbee does get that 5 men together, the TA can definitely eat through. But you're seeing those level 6 pops out now. Fate has the Chaotic Offering, and YC does hit level 6. So you're going to have that Ravage up if they do opt to level up, and there you go. Well, so 5 man from Newbee is scary now.
Right, lane, cancelled. TP. Oh, YG. He was in vision of SRF. His TP gets cancelled by the Pit of Malice, and they do end up losing that T1 mid tower to the Serpent Wards. In fact, XM is the one who picks it up on the TA. That's a big loss for Newbee.
Yeah, that's exactly how CDEC needs to play around with Shaman. Once you hit 6, they immediately pop that ward, take the tower. In fact, SRF finds that top tower as well. So they've lost 2 objectives, just like that, Newbee, and they're not able to fight back. This is the moment when they should, though. They've got the goal, and they could try to go for something.
Dire's structures are
But they kind of have to. This farm game kind of suits CDEC a lot more. In fact, it looks like that Warlock Faith may get caught out here by Ame. No, Mugi gonna be there. The TP immediately away. They have to drop the golem if they want it, and they do, but it's too late. He was out of range. That's a wait.
Yeah, it's a long cooldown. They don't find the kill. They do get the tier 1 tower, but that's without the assistance of a golem. So Fate will just use it to farm up for a bit. Meanwhile, their top lane is getting severely shoved in, and James is just about half a minute off from the wards. They do send Wizard in response. I think Newbee kind of spreading out this at this point is not playing to their favor. They need YC around to help them with these fights as well. They need all the spells they have, and because of this, CDEC is very comfy in invading this jungle area.
Show himself a bit of malice there from SRF, but the LSA does land. There's just no way to capitalize on it. AQ losing so much HP to the fortification of the tower. Meanwhile, top Serpent Wards have been dropped. YG trying to defend the best he can. Serpent Wards will get a fair bit of damage off onto that tier 2 tower. XM may not even be done. In fact, chains come in as well from Ame. He does commit Ravage on YG, but they got the Inkswell off, and now the Soulbind is there on Wizard. That'll be enough. Rolling Thunder will fly out. Victoria is really the only target he can hope to go for. They will settle with the support kill, and some nice decent dukes out from Victoria. He does die anyway, but now the bot lane. They found Faith on the Warlock. It's going to be a direct support trade.
Yeah, it's a bigger win for CDEC because they forced a Ravage out in that fight, and they forced out the Rolling Thunder. Now, Rolling Thunder is not as long of cooldown, but Ravage is definitely a long win, and that's something CDEC can play around even if they lost their support. They've got the options to force a bigger fight. You will have to be cautious about the Warlock, although that's still about a minute off, so there's still a bit of a window there. And they get really good damage in that tier 2. They were just waiting around with James. He was up there the entire time for a long time. And it's down to about 400 HP, so that buff and really not doing much to mitigate CDEC's push.
Radiant's top tower is is under attack.
Smoke. Come out. See it now.
Under ward though.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Right underneath the wall. They know exactly where they're headed, so Faith not or maybe he does give his life away. And if this Golem to be dropped, and they are going to rotate. The bit of a bait from Faith. But YG doesn't have Ravage. It's risky, but James is out of position. Does go down. Arme looking to clean up the other +5 and does. Meanwhile, the fight continues to break out in the back lines as they do find Victoria. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of Newbee, but I worry about that top lane because XM is there on the TA. They have to rotate up top. He wants that tier 2 tower and he's not leaving until he gets it, and he will eventually finish it off. Now YG, he's been left alone. He is pretty tanky, but not enough as Arme also finds his way in, and he really wanted that courier, and XM will find it. CDEC just dancing around Newbee at the moment.
Newbee again, just forced to use their ult in unideal situations. Like they throw it out very far away from any objective that chaotic offering, so they don't really have it up for this next push. They only manage to find like a support for that ultimate, and that's really not the kind of trades you want. They are tied to these ultimates, and it's just not being maximized. They are trying for a tier 2. You do have the nuke books coming up on the Dazzle in like 3 seconds, so you can get some decent damage out. Like, I suppose.
You should be able to get it, but SRF's going to be there to defend with the Firestorm. One of the real positives about the Underlord, right? You could just commit Firestorm and they can't do anything. Trying to go for a gank though. James, he's going to find a Hex onto Faith again. Golem isn't going to be available. Firestorm's there. Inkswell as well. And Faith just can't do anything on the Warlock. There's just no mobility. There's no real save for himself or anybody else for that matter. He just has to tank the gank.
Yeah, that's really all you can expect from your Warlock. As long as your Warlock's the one that keeps dying, you're fine. I think the discipline for Fate has to be in to holding on to that golem. Like last time when he was attacked, he dropped it, and it did look like his team could maximize it, but not quite. This will allow CDEC to go into the Roche. They drop the wards. There is a Ravage on YC, so if they're aware, they can go for it, but there's no vision from Newbee to see this one happening.
Well, Arme may have made it obvious now, but you can't get past Arme. He's got an Arcane Rune active on the Ember, and YG's already lost 3/4 of his HP as Arme's not done. He wants to keep going. He doesn't have more than one remnant, so he has to be a little bit careful about how far he dives. But he's bought enough time that XM has the Aegis, has the Blink, and has the Deso. Going for the BKB next with a 3k net worth lead. CDEC is really running over the side of Newbee at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being super disruptive on that Ember, and Newbee, it feels like they're trying to play a farm game, but what core do you have that benefits from farm? A Dazzle? So a Dazzle into Guardian Greaves, it can be potent, but you have to hit level, you have to max out that bad juju for that to really start turning fights. And we've seen it time and time and again, the Dazzle just doesn't get to that point fast enough.
I mean, we see Mugi playing this hero a hell of a lot in Team Newbee, but it's, I mean, they clearly see something that, you know, most people don't. They really do prioritize this Dazzle pick whenever it's available. Now, so much time has been bought that Arme, even after that terrible start he had to endure, he does have a full Spirit Vessel up. You know, all those heals that come out of the Dazzle now, come out of your Warlock, not really as effective as they used to be. Meanwhile, bot lane, XM finds a tier 1 bot tower. And this is the part where Newbee just holds. They're going to try and defend whatever they can. But maybe they find Arme. Nice flick forward from Wizard. That'll set up Laguna, LS. They're all being committed. Arme, Sleight of Fist, but the Rolling Thunder connects. Oh, very unfortunate.
Really important kill for Newbee. Just finding Ame, finding some way to get your Lina even bigger, does give them a little bit more breeding space. Still a 3k deficit on them. I'm surprised Newbee hasn't tried to smoke up with 2 of their ults up. Like, this is really the time to get that big team fight going, but they've been taking it kind of slow, which does give CDEC some opportunities here, even if they lose out on Ame. Their split push is going quite well. They're shoving in the lanes quite nicely, and they're still maintaining that lead. So Newbee, this is actually their moment to shine when their ults are up, but not quite ready yet.
Do you think they could actually fight even with that Warlock Golem and Ravage? Like, it still feels like it's going to be too hard. They're going to try. Maybe by their tier 2 tower they could. But hit a Malice, Firestorm, there's the Golem being dropped. They do end up finding Victoria. That's a nice way to start. Now they chase onto XM, who's falling very low in the ages. It does go down now. Secondary line coming up, SRF trying to get out of there, but they've left XM alone. I don't think you want to leave the TA alone like that. But Army's coming to try and help out, and it turns out they do win the team fight. That was really not the way to do it from CDEC. They lost their TA. They brought back on Victoria.
It was
They still found the tier 2.
Yeah, they got the tier 2, but they lose out in their biggest core. That does give a big swing towards Newbee, dropping that lead that CDEC had from 3k to 1. And that was just strange. A lot of strange decisions. Really early pop in the Dark Rift, just leaving XM. It felt like they could have turned after the Aegis pop. Like, you know, Golem's down, Ravage is down, control is gone. So if you backed up your TA there, you could have possibly done stuff. Like, the Laguna was blown fairly early on there as well. They had all the opportunities still. This is the massive opening. Newbee doesn't have those ults. They tried to smoke up.
It's fate. It's target. They want something bigger than that. Wizard would be nice. Just spot him out, the Shaman. Okay. Want to move forward. You don't have any real way of getting in range. They won't be able to find Wizard. He does TP out of there. I wonder what's the game for CDEC now. Like, I still feel like CDEC need to be aggressive with this kind of lineup. But
Yeah. Like, CDEC needs to play around its downtime. They know the Golem's down, they know Ravage is down. They can still take these fights. Like, there's no need to worry. They have their ults up, except for Dark Rift, but Newbee has nothing to be scared of. Like, they have nothing in their kit that should scare you, although Newbee does smoke up. They do have Laguna. They might want to go for an easy kill.
It's got Guy Graves up as well on He's going to be down to SRF and nobody around to really help him out. He's really not that tanky of a target when you've got a Desolator available on AQ. And so something new is looking much better. So these core items and levels come up. AQ sitting at 19 on the Lina. The one thing you do know from Newbee's playstyle, especially with Mugi on the Dazzle John, is when they do hit that level 3 timing on bad juju. That's when things become impossible.
Yeah, that's when it really starts to be super obnoxious playing up against this lineup. You really have to look at XM to try to pick off that backline. That's going to be how CDEC will deal with it. Just try to burst down that Dazzle before anything happens.
Wizard links in, Rolling Thunder is straight onto Arme, but he does get the remnant of time. Now AQ going to be in a bit of trouble, but Shallow Grave will save for now. He's really got no way out of the situation, surely. They try to heal him up, he does go down, and now they are dropping like flies, Newbee. They didn't have everything they needed. In fact, YG didn't even commit Ravage throughout all that. He just held on to it. And so 3 will go down for Newbee. Was it on cooldown for another couple seconds? I'm not sure.
No, it was up. It was up. Okay. It was up that entire time. He held onto it, and just like that, the Dark Rift can get a push going on the bot lane.
Yeah, the XM. Oh, easy pick off onto the Pangolier. That's a great Dark Rift from SRF. It looked so good for a moment. There was flashes of brilliance from Newbee, but why hold the Ravage like that?
I think it was the BKB from XM that staved him off. Like, they saw the BKB, they knew the chaotic offering would go through, but you'd waste a Ravage on a big target, didn't want to commit. So Newbee at least save that cooldown. They're going to have that for the high ground defense, but it's going to be a bit of time here without follow-up.
looks like RNG, or excuse me, not RNG, CDEC aren't willing to go any further. Just happy with the amount of tier 3 damage they've done. Back off. There's still a tier 2 mid tower to be taken. This will give Newbee a bit more time. I think it's very nice for Newbee to just chill out and wait for that level 3 bad juju before they really start making plays. But perhaps because you still have the Ravage, maybe they'll feel the necessity to go and make a smoke gank. And well, they are grouped up. Arme's going to be around the area. Fade going to get spotted. Arme does throw out the chains, but he has help. Still, the rest of CDEC are going to make their way up now, just behind Arme. Remnant forward. He has an arcane rune, but only has one remnant charge left. YG just trying to make them go forward onto him, but they will not take that kind of bait.
Yeah, a lot of discipline from CDEC. They're trying to cut them off in the jungle, actually.
You still have a low ground disadvantage, but they do make their way up. YG, except he jumps on a fade. He burns down the wall straight away. The buyback is there though. Golem is up in 20 seconds, however, but it looks like he just wants to get Fatal Bonds off. Meanwhile, Wizard controlling everyone on the Pangolier, but there's the Ravage flying out. They burst down Victoria SRF. He's tankier, but not tanky enough. They do get that kill as well. Now Arme just gonna run away as fast as he possibly can. And looks like he will get out. The CDEC, they do pursue a bit too much. They do pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that they want to try to play aggressive. It just felt a bit too much. They gave a lot of time to Newbee to try to prep for that, and fortunately enough, there's not too much to take off the map. They lose their mid tier 1, but it is 25 minutes in. You know, it's been alive for a bit too long anyway. And unfortunately for Newbee, no Roche just yet. They dip out of the pit right before it respawns. They might be able to find it again. AQ. Oh, right there.
Up now, AQ says let's get started, but the side of CDEC did scan that out. Third Ward's dropped onto Fate. He has Golem, so he doesn't want to die like this right now. He just bought back. They'll shallow grave and make sure he does get out of there. But Arme knows this, wants to burst him down, but he gets fuels up. LSA no, it's gonna miss. The Golem has been dropped. Fate just scared he's gonna die before he could drop. Arme, he runs forward. He wants to go after Mugi. They won't have enough damage right now. They will actually lose Arme on the Ember. And losing Arme like that may have actually given the Roshan away to the side of Newbee.
Yeah, they don't have enough to really jump in. They only have XM, but they could try with BKB.
I just don't know if XM's strong enough. Dalian gonna be put on the Roshan with the death, so it's a lot of minus armor, but Newbee, they smoke up. That was underneath an observer ward. A very obvious smoke. Hidden Mana's gonna catch 3 of them. Just a very, very awkward position for both teams right now. CDEC, they're gonna have Arme up in 5 seconds, so they want Newbee to go for this.
Not only that, but they've got a big item on XM, finishes up the data list now. So you have a lot more damage on the TA, and that's something that would have been revealed, but in the end, Newbee does give up in the Roche. So a pretty long time going back and forth there.
Now, Roshan's still standing. That leaves an opportunity for CDEC to try and go for it, especially considering they know the Golem drop isn't available. It was just used 30 seconds ago. You still got the Ravage, which, you know, is a fairly nice ability to have, but XM won't be too afraid of that. He's got that BKB up.
Yeah, there's just a lot of hesitation. I think CDEC understand that Newbee still has a lot they can try, and CDEC's positioning hasn't been perfect. They've had Ombi a bit too far forward a couple of times, has been punished hard. Neither side is willing to leave this pit area though. They understand the value of that Roche right now.
Well, I think that's the problem, right? If CDEC get the Roshan and get an Aegis on XM, like this game, they could lose a Rax or two because of how hard XM's hitting. He's even got the enchanted quiver on him. On that TA, so it's even more bonus damage. seems. He doesn't get the blink he wanted, but they found their Hex anyway. YG, still Shallow Grave will save him. He may need to commit Ravage ASAP, but no. He won't panic, he does back up, and now Wizard goes in with the Rolling Thunder, trying to control up the side of CDEC and allow YG to break that gap. He doesn't have a blink or anything like that, but Wizard has held them back long enough. Still SRF does get caught with the Gush. He's thinking about using Dark Pact, excuse me, Dark Rift, but no, not quite yet. More hesitation. Both teams just holding on to those skills. Ame again shows himself around that Roshan pit, reminding Newbee you can't leave this area. Newbee will remind them of the same.
They've got the Golem drop now on top of Ravage, so Newbee is in prime position to try to fight here.
They take Roshan quick both sides, but they're just stuck. Roshan really could decide the game if you're not too careful. Ah, mate. Put that heavy halberd up. Be very useful up against AQ on that Lena.
Alright, so looks like they do break up for the bounties, and daytime vision, of course, just gives you a lot more forward vision here, so not as much Guys Ignite, although Amin.
Well, YG thought about the Ravage. Weren't committed. It's bought enough time for Moogie to get a full Soul Crest up, and you know, that Soul Crest is quite spammable. 4.3 seconds is the cooldown. So,
ooh.
It's kind of, yeah, it's a bit ridiculous, right? Like, it's because of bad juju. He has a 4.4 second cooldown on that Solar Crest. Just continuously. How long does the duration even last? I can't even remember.
I think it's about, yeah, it's I think it's like 4 seconds maybe around that time period as well. So it's nearly 100% uptime, just at the level 2 bad juju, which is very potent. Like, it's starting to be a constant issue for CDEC and trying to fight for that sustain Newbee has. They're not able to really mitigate that, even with that Spirit Vessel on their Ember. Just not enough to really burst through Newbee, and I think they have to rely on XM to jump that backline. He needs to find either Fate or Moogie. You know, just stop the Warlock from dropping the Golem, because that means XM is just going to have a free time with the BKB, or take out the Dazzle so they don't have to worry about that Shallow Grave and the sustain. And then that's how CDEC kind of goes in. It's just that Newbee has been very disciplined with their spacing here. They haven't given that opportunity to CDEC. Even with the high mobility that CDEC has with their Ember, they're not able to find the right targets just yet.
Connects from Wizard. They found Ame again with the NSA and AQ. He hits so hard. There is a buyback available, but Newbee know they gotta force it out. They don't have sentries placed down right now, so the trap is gonna stick around, and CDEC will have perfect vision of what's happening in the pit. So they're gonna wait. Is this Roshan ever gonna die? Or is it forever to be tortured by these two teams?
Nah, I think it's just gonna be there. Just always mad. People are dropping by his house, poking him, then running away. Won't even keep him company. Rather unfortunate, just kind of stuck there. But both sides do understand the importance of that pit. Of course, it's just neither side is willing to commit. You have a lot of good spells and wide AoEs for both sides. I'd say Newbee has the upper hand in such a tight area, which is why CDEC is very, conservative. But Newbee is significantly behind enough that they don't want to really take a massive risk. Although they do smoke up.
Jump in, hit him out. That's gonna lock them at that staircase though. SRF getting caught out now. YG, a very nice Ravage onto 3 heroes with the golden drop on SRF. But here comes Ame and the buyback from SRF. They're gonna take this team fight. It's a bit risky. Ame, he's dropping. He does die. He buys back immediately as well. They will lose AQ on the Lena and the Pango. Wizard does go down. And Newbee, they got 2 buybacks out of that. But they're probably going to lose a Roshan, and they also lose Faith. In CDEC, they were waiting, happily knowing that they always had the option to turn around. That'll be the Roshan going to the way of CDA.
Yeah, it looked a bit messy for CDEC earlier on, especially when XM got caught from the Ravage and the Golem drop. He popped the BKB after the Ravage before the Golem, so he was controlled for a bit, which did prevent them from taking the fight cleanly, but in the end, I'm going to be happy with that exchange. Newbee really forward there. They were the ones starting that fight. They tried to find more. They did get the big kill on Ame, but they didn't really get the control onto XM. It just wasn't quite enough. He did drop very low. They couldn't really focus down because of the disruption of James. James was just, with his Blink Dagger, jumping the back line immediately and committing the wards. They won't have it for the push, but XM can melt towers fairly quick. But that's not a massive issue here for CDC.
Quick pause. Nice little tooltip I have here, John. Have fun, is what I'm saying. AC coming out on XM as well, so even more for this TA. I mean, this TA is huge. Almost 24k net worth now at 34 minutes in. And I thought they were removing gold off the map. Apparently not for XM.
Yeah, I know CDC has made this patch look pretty non-impactful, right? They took the early tier 2s, they melt the map early. XM has all the farm in the world. And Newbee, they do get the fortify out. They will not have Ravage, nor will they have a Golem drop. I don't think there's anything for CDC to be scared of here.
Mid-rank's gone. They'll go for a second. I think Newbee can't afford to take a team fight either. They've just got to kind of let this go. They will. The Dark Rift immediately from SRF. Now 2 racks is up. CDEC are going to be feeling very, very confident. And you know, with a draft like Newbee's, it's not exactly very easy to push back when your 2 racks is down.
Gonna have to rely on really their Lina to consistently push it out. You can kind of do it to Pangolier. It is slightly risky if you put Wizard out there, so I think the best bet is really just having a Q shove it out. You could do it with YC if you went for the Ags. It's just you can't really expect that from a support Tide, right? Like they're kind of farm starved. He is fairly built up for what he has, but I don't think you can really expect an Ags in this Tide anytime soon for that gush.
Smoke up, CDEC. They win the next team fight. The game will probably just be over. There's not enough buybacks on the side of Newbee to really allow them to fight. Like, you need AQ up, you need Wizard up. They don't have those buyback available. The goal just isn't there for those two. Still Newbee playing very safely on the east side of the map. CDEC, if they really want to, could just rush the top lane right now, as the creeps are starting to move in to that mid lane. And XM seems to agree. He does start going towards it. There's no backdoor protection yet. Now it comes along, but the creeps are coming. Serpents were dropped a little bit early, but it's probably not going to matter.
Yeah. I don't think they really need a Serpents anymore. Like, XM just does the work for them. They could try using the Serpents for a safe push, like a slow chipping away, but honestly right now the Shadow Shaman's key thing is that Hex and the Shackle. Just jumping the back line, getting the control off on the Warlock like we saw last time is enough to really turn these fights. Although, Newbee, cooldowns are off. It's their chance to try to do something. They probably should have tried to just wait for the high ground though. That's where these belts really come together. But they're playing outside their base. They want to try to find something, feel like they can.
Ame opens forward, has found Faith. Really doesn't want to die right now, but he gets hexed up, so no golden drop available. He does have buyback, but Ame going to continue moving forward, trying to find more for his team. Nice chains coming out. XM now jumps in, and Mugi is dead. No buyback gold on him, and it looks like they're going to also lose YG. And I believe this game can be but you still got the Lina AQ, who's forced a bot lane. There will be a buyback from Faith now. This will be the last fight for Newbee. They would get it soon, otherwise getting mega. Army gets Taser. Making creeps are now to be active. And they jump in James. Doesn't get Hex off yet. Newbee not on the GG. They're trying to really wake this out to the tides up its next. It's 20 seconds away. Mate, fire fate again. He can't buy like this. They need the golem, but he is definitely dying. James gets to shackle off. He does get the interceptor off in time. Drops the golem. Is it going to be any good though? You're still losing quite a lot of armor. He does get out of there just in the nick of time. A wizard ends up dying to XM. And the tier 4s, one of them already down, the other one under siege. Now they've got the tide up though. They may get the fun, but Army again jumping in, finding the chamber to AQ. Almost dropped the Ravage. Oh, just completely whiffed. Except that's the BKB. The slider fist dodge from Army. They just can't find it. AQ drops. No buyback on him. And there's the GG call coming out. They wanted to try it one last time. But see, just proving to be too good in this game number 1.
Yeah, it's really a lot came down to the draft. Just Newbee going back to that Mugi Dazzle is fine, but when you had the Tide and a Warlock support duo, you really have to play perfectly around those cooldowns, and unfortunately Newbee just couldn't find the timings. CDEC running them over. XM with really
team ban. Radiant team ban.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for the Game 2 draft between Newbee and CDA. It is MLP Dota and X5. John, you know how I like to start these Game 2 talks. Where did Newbee go wrong?
In their draft, I think straight up their draft was just strange. There were definitely a couple of draft choices there. The Tide Warlock combination was what they were depending on to kick themselves into gear, and they couldn't really pull it off. There was just way too many moments where they had to use one ult or the other, never in conjunction. When they finally start going into use both ults, that's the moment when XM had the BKB, so the timing was way off. I think Mugi was doing a pretty darn good job on the Dazzle, keeping everyone alive. You saw moments where CDEC could not respond, but I think the reliance on those long cooldown ults did hurt Newbee, so maybe a bit of a shake-up in the draft will help them to find their pace here in their first series.
Well, CDEC will force them to get into a different kind of draft. They actually end up banning out the Dazzle on their end of things. The Dazzle, Newbee has made it work many times, that pulse on Dazzle that Mugi always plays, but it can be a bit hit or miss. Especially if your opponent's draft is very, very strong. That's unfortunately what CDEC had. Still, to get into the draft should begin now. CDEC will have first pick.
Radiant team pick.
Shocked by the pulse for Tusk coming up. It's been very, very popular over the past however many weeks it's been now.
Yeah. It's a solid pause 4. I think there's a lot of combinations you can look for the Tusk to go into. Of course, in case anything fishy comes out here, you've got the save with a snowball that you can play around with. So a lot of value is picking that Tusk up. I think this makes it very likely for the Lich to perhaps come out here for CDT. That's what we've been seeing a lot of with the Tusk. Just Lich Tusk every single time, and it is highly effective. You know, the laning presence is strong. You run that tri-lane at level 1, you find a kill, you split up, and you've set yourselves up quite nicely in that laning phase.
Newbee with their first pickup now. Go for the Grimstroke. There isn't an Ember for them to pick up after the Grimstroke, so we won't see that standard opening duo. Grimstroke's been pretty popular on its own anyway. So, Newbee, what do they follow up with now? I wonder if they'll go for some kind of really unique draft again on their end of things, or if they want to run something a bit more standard that is much easier to execute, and it seems like they do. They go for the DK. This is, I don't want to say it's much more normal, but it definitely seems much more normal going into the Grimstroke DK opening.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that it is normal. It's a much more straightforward draft from Newbee. The DK, of course, giving you great push potential, great laning presence, a lot of durability. And with a Grimstroke, once you have the blink up, Inkswell blink in, Dragon Tail follow from the Inkswell is pretty potent, so straightforward for you to get that done. Just going to be hard to cancel that out in lane. CDEC are free to pick up the Oracle because that hasn't been banned out. So you have all the sustain now for CDEC. You've got this that can keep the fights going. You've got great control with the Tusk and Oracle. And you have a lot of heroes that can maximize that second life. So CDEC are setting themselves up pretty well. I think the DK pickup might have allowed this to happen for CDEC. They don't need to worry about too many big slippery heroes sliding through from Newbee. So they don't need to worry about control for a Storm or control for a Void Spirit or anything like that, mainly because they know that DK can be flexed, but more than likely it's going to be mid. So they don't need to worry about any of the big jumpy heroes with specific sports need catch there.
Now one more banner for, of course, CDEC. They did get rid of the Lycan. Newbee will get rid of the Terrorblade. And we'll see the Pangolier come out once again. But this time, it is probably going to be Wizard. They could opt to run the offlane or the position for Pango and run the offlane DK. I suppose only time will tell what they do decide with this draft, as it's very, very flexible already.
Yeah, I like that combination with Grimstroke. I think it's just a solid way of having a reliable way of landing that Inkswell. So you swashbuckle in pretty close, Inkswell on, and you've got a nice little way of showing that lane out and pressuring the enemies. A lot of potential there for Newbee if they opt to run it that way, of course.
CDEC with this third pick. Love the Oracle.
They don't have the Terrorblade to pick up if they want to, but they do have the Troll. We have seen a lot of Oracle Troll, and that's a really solid combination. You have to worry about the Pangolier Disarm, but I think you can play around it just fine.
It can be a little bit challenging though when you're going up against the DK as well, because they're really high armor. But it's such a good combination, Oracle Troll. CDEC, they're gonna have a long think about it. They're gonna, you know, the offer's up there.
And they could opt for their off-lane pick first. Pangolier gone. Let's take some options away. The Mars is still in the pool if they want. No, the ban out of Mars, sorry. The Centaur is still in the pool if they wanted it. That's been a steady offlaner we've seen a lot of, although not as much here in China, but it's still a fairly popular offlaner to have. Solid sort of stun combined with the Oracle and Tusk if they wanted it. They go to Batrider.
Not revealing much yet. Of course, an off-lane bat that we're seeing doesn't look well up against DK, right? You have that crazy amount of Firefly damage with Sneaky Napalm. Very hero to have to play into. But really not revealing much. Still very, very standard from the side of CDEC.
They've got the flexibility with a bat, maybe right at mid if they wanted to as well. We have seen that a couple of times. I think if you really want to just match that DK up, you have a bit of a tool here. CDEC doesn't have last pick though, so there's not much they can really pull as a surprise now, because it's more than likely that Newbee is expecting this offlane, which means they're still looking for that matchup. There's nothing sly CDEC could do with draft order, fortunately.
Still need a mid, and unless it's a DK, and we still need a safe lane. I do believe it is going to just be a pos for Pango. I don't think we're going to play around with that too much. Wizard was having a good old time on the Pango. You know, he was playing it quite well, but he just didn't have enough influence as an off-lane hero. They do have to use a lot of time.
We could maybe see something to purge off the Batrider. The Abaddon could come out. I'm not sure if that slots into this draft. It could be... I mean, you could run it in the off, I suppose, if you wanted to. Abaddon, with the DK down mid, Pank will get on support, and that's an option for him. They go to Shaker. So you've got this big team fight utility now from Newbee. You've got ways to trap in CDEC and maybe punish big ball staves from the Tusk. So you've got all those tools available now. Doesn't really combine too. It's not, in fact, none of these heroes really work off that's Soulbind. It's really down for that control. I think it's still pretty potent. You will have to worry about the Batrider. Just always keep an eye on the bat, because this doesn't make the Shaker a prime target for instantaneous burst from CDEC.
But that should lock in the offlane Pango again. It's not such a bad thing. It's just, I don't know. It makes the draft look a bit weak, does it not? Like, you've got plenty of team fight potential. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, there's no direct synergy with this draft. That's my biggest issue. Like, none of them particularly slot each other quite well. It's just kind of there. Like, you can make it work, but the Troll does come out for CDEC. Oracle's there. Troll is still in the pool, of course. They pick it up, and you mentioned Dragon Knight being an issue. I think I don't think it's going to matter because the troll is going to live long enough. All the HP in the world won't help you from a root coming out from the troll and just the raw damage coming in. So eventually you will burn out and die.
10 seconds remaining.
It's going to be pretty important for this troll to pick up a BKB before you really start seeing some big team fights out of him. So you've got so much disable potential from Newbee. Like Earthshake can just perma-stun you, the Grimstroke, the Pangolier can disarm you, BK has a decent stun. Seems like it's going to be fairly important for that BKB to be up. See it, they won't.
Ooh.
Really? Okay, Venomancer comes up. A lot of magic damage, but this hero hasn't looked good in the meta for a long time.
I kind of like it here. I like it here mainly because Dragonite is the one factor you really want to put down. You've got a nice way of keeping that Shaker from blinking. So as long as you keep planting aggressive venomous wards in front, it's going to be hard for the Shaker to find that position with a blink later down the line. Yeah, Newbee doesn't really have the fastest ways of hitting those wards early on, so CDEC can kind of apply pressure with that. Or if the Venomancer does go for the right-click damage early on, of course, it's just going to be making it a lot more people. Though the Gyrocopter can eat through those wards fairly nicely, it's now equally as important for Newbee to find that BKB. You mentioned, getting the BKB on the troll to stop that control. Newbee will need the BKB on Mugi to prevent him from dying straight up from all this magic damage that CDC has. So that's something to watch out for. BKB timing is going to be key for both sides. And the Gyrocopter does give you that good team fight with this lineup, but again, it's not quite the most confident inspiring closer here, although I suppose it is more consistent than Venomancer. So there is that for Newbee.
Overall, I'm looking at both these drafts and I really don't know who looks stronger because I don't know what to expect from this Venomancer. Who do you think looks better with these drafts?
I want to say CDC, mainly because they've got the Oracle Troll. That's pretty potent. I feel like the Venomancer should be able to find what it wants. You will have to be very cautious about Mugi. I think he's going to be the major factor in burning through that Venom early on. And you have to watch for the rotations from Newbee. If they do commit what you see for the rotations, there's not much a Venomancer can do there unless they dive really deep in their towers, but he's going to be a very vulnerable target to those rotations unless TDC is willing to toss certain support. So I think Newbee has to play the draft aggressively. They've got to keep a lid on that Venom. Watch the jungle is the key thing, because he can dip into the jungle with wards and suddenly get out of there with all the items he wants. You don't want that happening. At the same time, Newbee needs a little bit of space for Mugi. And if they can get that done, I think you're going to be ruining with a lot of what CDC wants out of this draft.
Prepare for battle.
It'd be a very interesting game to say the least. It just feels so weird seeing XM going from such a standard core pick like TA and performing so well now being on a Venomancer. I'm not going to go ahead and say it's bad or anything, because it's we don't see it enough to know, but it just kind of weirds me out. Like TA to Veno. What a range of heroes that XM has.
Yeah, it's a bit of a swing. It definitely is a shake-up on the pace, although I think the farming pattern for both heroes actually kind of stayed the same. The Master dips into the jungle, takes stacks, comes back out. The issue is he's not a very mobile hero. So the Master farms like the TA, but focuses on objectives after a certain point. You want to either take team fights, but not jump in front. You're not going to be bursting people in front. Just kind of take it slow, pressure with your DPs, and make use of that time where Newbee won't have BKBs. The moment they get early BKBs, you're going to have a hard time maximizing this Venomancer, which is one of the things for Venom, right? Pretty much countered out by any decent sort of pace in the farm. And you might argue, yeah, early BKBs can lose out in effectiveness. Well, it doesn't really matter as long as you find those kills and control the map. Even if you end up with 5-second BKB, as long as the entire map shut out, CDEC can't really do much about that.
How does this AQ DK go up against the Venom? Is this an XM favorite matchup?
Yeah, it's straight up, it should be, no matter what he goes for. Whether or not he goes for Plague Wards or the Venomous, well, it's just not a good time for a DK. The range advantage is there. He can toy around with Breed Fire, there's decent range in that. But even if they draw even, XM can just dip into the jungle, so he will find additional farm in that sense. And DK does not do that as fast, so that's something the Venomancer does have up its sleeve. At least early farm here.
Have a casual pause for our Oracle to back up.
You know, I do like this laning combination from CDEC. I think the Tusk and the Batrider is super potent. We've sat and play a couple of times. You get the tag team off. You get maybe even level 1 with enough napalm stacks. That just amplifies so much damage coming out from SRF and makes it really hard to kind of contest. So a lot of potency with just that kind of combination here. And of course, you're going to have Victoria around, at least for level 1, while they try to find First Blood. And you do have good control here. So the earlier laning phase is looking a bit stronger for CDEC. You have to respect the potential of Newbee. You know, Shakers with a good Fisher can cause a lot of issues, but it's not particularly straightforward for Newbee to really apply harassment in the lanes. That's a lot of GG, guys.
I don't know if the side of Newbee is scared of what's gonna come or if they're happy about this draw. It's a lot of magic damage.
Yes.
Like this AQ might have a really bad game.
Yeah, it's not straightforward for him. Like, even if he gets the blink and back, even if you get the blinks on the Shaker, Tango, and Dragonite, Venomancer, just with how much he spam out of his Plague Wards, makes it very hard to kind of close the gap time. So it's something they have to be continuously aware of. Newbee will have to make use of their smokes really well. I think that's important. That was something that was missing in game 1 as well. They kind of waited around when they had their level 6 ults on their supports. You want them to be able to apply that pressure much earlier on here, while the troll is kind of weak, while you don't have the veil on Venomancer. I think that is going to be pretty scary once the veil is up. Just it's way too much damage. You want a fast pipe in response, but I don't know if you are. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Just the pipe will mitigate it, but you've got the Batrider damage as well.
Yo, like I know, like the Bangos can go pipe, no problem, right? But
Yeah.
it's not exactly the
No.
best they want.
No.
It did get an increase in price for his as well, make it a bit more advanced to go for if you're something like a Pango who doesn't already naturally get one.
Yeah. I think it has to be the Pango though. Like, there's no way in 2 ways around it. He's gonna have to get the pipe for the team if they feel like it's a threat. I mean, we have seen a lot of them expect like a pipe. You'd expect like a Spirit Vessel in other teams. They tend to ignore it. So we'll see whether or not Newbee pays that Venomancer his dues, or if they figure it's pretty much a non-factor. Because again, we haven't seen too much of the Veno. I think for the most part, we've last seen it in like Southeast Asia months ago, and that was pre-mix. So we'll see how they do run it here.
Well, could be a lot of action. 4 heroes here from Newbee, but Soreth did start out with this napalm. I mean, missile will actually be taken out. Soreth, so plus 50 gold. Good way to start. Last hit already from Panorama. You gotta love that.
Oh yeah. It's a slight boost in gold, and you do kind of force Mugi to go for that level 1 homing missile, which means that you don't really have to worry about early rocket barrage. Just forcing YC all the way back. Just playing bad here just a bit.
Maybe not too far. Block is gonna be there, Wizard. Gonna follow up. Not anything like Orb of Venom though. He's just gonna wash buckle, maybe go for some body block on Army. That'd be fine. Yeah, so well, giving a tip over to Faith, I'm not sure why. But what was that? he probably denied the bounty off. Okay, so it was a 2-for-1 trade in the end. No, he didn't deny the bounty off. It was a 2-for-2 trade.
Yeah, just tricks her back, I guess. Just a tip.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it. Kind of surprising that CDEC's not running that aggressive trouble first, so they do rotate out Victoria. They're not trying to go for that first blood attempt, which means that there should be a little bit more breeding room here for Newbee to try to find that initial farm.
This is a very ugly lane for this poor Gyrocopter though. He's already got a kind of a bad turn rate as it is. It's gonna have to work really hard on this Gyrocopter to make sure he has a good time.
It's just forced sacks and moves they just can't follow up, fortunately. But nice to get a couple right-click damages on, but still, it should be pretty tough initially. I think once you hit level 3 Mugi, that's when you can start to breed a bit easier.
Lane XM. You could really wait for those levels before you start to see this event that's forcing the DK out. Top lane, however, Arme going to be in trouble, but Fortune's End will stop the side of Newbee from chasing, and Arme does manage to barely survive. Thanks to Victoria. Victoria will even give it a start for his trouble.
Yeah, it's a good amount of pressure onto Ame. I think he's struggling just as much as that Gyrocopter. So pretty evened out here in terms of making these boss ones suffer so far from both teams.
At what stage do you think XM like wins this mid lane now? Like he's maxed up poison, which is fair enough. At what point do you think AQ said, okay, I can't sustain this much damage?
I think fairly soon, maybe level 4 or 5. Does feel like he's probably gonna go for a 2-2 build or a 3-2 build into level 6. And as long as you keep landing those gales, eventually you're gonna have a hard time maintaining that laning presence here.
Well, seems like Newbee might agree with your point, because YG rotates through mid. Won't be any kind of fishy stuff. Look like YG just wants to head over to the bot lane for a little bit. Fat, that left Wiz by himself, and he's hit all the way back to the fountain. So now Arme gonna have plenty of free space with this troll. Really calm up. Can't say the same for Gyrocopter, who is still gonna have to go through the struggle of having oil thrown all over him. But what's the point of this situation? They're right on to James now. James should die again, but he comes down with swirl and soul. Nice social dodge for all the stuff that he would wrap out quite a bit, but eventually Mugi will rock a barrage down, and that will be first blood going at Newbee.
It's a good pickup for Newbee. They did invest in a lot of resources for that one. They have given a little bit of space to SRF to find out last hits, and Mugi does miss out in the wave. So that's a little bit of farm going away for that first blood, but not too bad. I'm not sure how long sustained is. It looks like they want to maximize that early control with the Fissure, but you can't really keep a Batrider in place like that. Firefly, you could just fly out.
Mate, trying to really keep Wizard out of this top lane. Mid lane, there's going to be some rotations here onto James, who was just trying to secure that illusion room. Going to turn around now to YG and give him some back. Even Victoria going to rotate down now on the Oracles. They've just left the top lane alone. Perhaps it's more important to try and shut down this bot lane gyro a little bit. Instead, they may even make a rotation mid. You do have the snowball, and AQ is already very, very low thanks to the poison sting and gale of XM. He does have another gale available.
Okay,
so AQ still through quite well. It's just you get one extra hero down here, and this AQ DK could die very quickly.
It looks like they have their sights set elsewhere. They are finally running that trial line from CDEC, so you've got the Oracle and the Tusk trying to find something.
My force is going to be there on Mookie, but there is help coming in from YG. It's doesn't look like the greatest gank. It's a nice snowball, but the pitch connects on two as well. James just here, he does at least find the Earthstriker. In fact, they do end up getting the gyrocopter. And Mookie does get SRF.
Radiant's top tower.
It looked really bad for a moment, especially when that Fisher came out, but CDEC actually do come out on top.
Yeah, it's a much better trade for them. They are a good amount of pressure on the gyro. This is costing the supports a lot of TPs, which is freeing up these their lanes. So that mid lane AQ's not getting the relief he wants. He isn't under any major threat, but XM is really starting to pull ahead, even though the last are fairly even. You can feel that the Venomancer's presence is starting to be a bit annoying for this DK.
He got that Poison Nova up as well now. And again, it's just one rotation would mean this DK is 100% gonna die. Speaking of dying, Wizard is probably going down as well. He does go for a swashbuckle, but I had already gotten a auto attack off at him once finding a way. See, start to push that early advantage with the draft. Mid lane, you see Victoria already waiting for his opportunity to try and jump on AQ. AQ being very, very cautious with good positioning. Does end up popping the Dragon Form. With the tail, with the Poison Nova, it's going to AQ down quite a lot. And well, Wizard comes in. He needs to deny AQ right now, but the Snowball save, Snowball secure will be there from James. And to make matters worse for the X-Bound region.
Yeah, he gets be refreshed, head back into land, or find some creeps while you rotate away. You've given Ame a free lane up top. Our troll pretty much top of the last hits board from a fairly rough start when running that dual lane. Because you're forced to respond so much, you have given Ame a lot of space.
Yeah, really farming. Mid lane, however, they do find Victoria on the Oracle. Let's pick up Newbee. They are looking for more. Yeah. He's going to show him back mid now, so they may as well try to go for the Tempters. He's going to have to be very careful with how he positions himself on this Venoman. But he will stick around the jungle.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
The thing is with this jungle Veno, like, can be a little bit slow because he didn't really go for the Veno wards. So, fastest, but with that 7-minute timing, neutral items coming up now, they want to try and get the early advantage. It's going to be chased down by Enter and bot lane. They do commit the lasso, they ping up the cliff. Put him on there, boys. Put him on there. Faithful die. And you really can even see him.
It's just slowly but surely CDEC using that early power spike they get quite well. I think what Newbee has to do now is try to figure out whether or not they want to commit. They are giving some space towards Newbee, but they're still clumping up trying to find these kills as well.
Well, Kane when it's been found by the Venom, though they do jump on. Nice snowball save from the Rolling Thunder, but he rolls into the Rolling Thunder. Basically, going to help out a little bit. There's no points over. XM definitely just die. That was a very strong team fight coming out from the side of Newbee.
Yeah.
Victoria underneath his C2 tower may go down the Wizard. Are you chasing too far? Maybe you are, though he didn't get the Purifying Flames off. Would have been enough anyway. Newbee find a 3-for-0 trade and then it's set up for that T1 mid push.
Yeah, they managed to win out in those trades in the end. I'm sure Newbee is very happy with that. They are making use of this Dragon Form to its max potential, but they've lost their tier 1 up top, and you actually see Ame start to rotate in that as well.
Yep.
Nice shorts.
Shots. AQ getting caught out. One axis flying out. XM. Inkswell gonna be there, but you've got XM just slowing down this DK. Goes down and more Plague Wards to be thrown out. In fact, never mind that fate. He's been called by SRF and they do pay them back. They get to double on the troll. And let me just add onto that, John. XM's build, the Spirit Vessel coming out. This DK is he's gonna melt once that Spirit Vessel's up.
Yeah. There's nothing here from Newbee to even help him out. There's no DPL Tier, nothing in terms of sustain, so He's just gonna have to really ride for a very rough time until he finds VKB. He is queuing up the Shadow Blade first to give himself some more utility, some more ways of finding pickoffs. But I think CDEC set themselves up quite nicely. They're super aggressive in the map. Even Ame is confident enough to start walking around. He's built towards a Battle Fury, which I tend to be against, but he's had basically free farm, so the timing on it is going to be really, really good. And as long as it's pretty darn good, of course the troll can maximize that in his jungle rotations.
West top lane has to be careful. He was trying to defend that T1 top. It is going to cost him his life, or maybe it won't. He Firefly is. Mookie actually got looked out by YG's Fisher. You'll find him in the end, but SRF has the Firefly for a little bit more. Do they have the enough to sable? They do. That was a lot of time. That's a lot of time where that mid lane is slowly being pushed in. And the Arme at the bot lane gonna start forcing the tier 2 in, and Newbee, they don't seem happy about it.
I don't think that's worth the commitment. Like, the Batrider was really doing nothing. They don't even manage to find that tower. Like, they're chipping away at it. They're going to keep their heroes down, but you're going to be losing HP on 2 of their own towers. And Wizard trying to fight Ame doesn't seem like the best of ideas when you don't have Rolling Thunder.
Yeah. Top lane could be a big engagement here from CDEC. One, actually gonna get spotted here by James. The tag team's turned on with the Walrus Punch. YG fishes, but he is already trapped and he will have to die. Yeah, you found the T1 tower, but you've lost 3 of your own. You know, Dota's all about trade, and Newbee has not been traded before.
No.
He's still freely farming the bot lane and forcing it in with that siege creep.
Has to be a bit careful though. There's a smoke rotation coming in from Newbee. Let's back off.
Well.
Oh.
Or does he? Does not matter the battle trance. He takes wands in the. Okay, he takes it out of the backpack. No, not gonna do anything. Moogie was just went back to farming.
A bit late for that punishment. Again, Amek's just been given so much space here from CDEC's movement, and he's been allowed to get away with it. Like, he's 2 pots away, basically just a perseverance away from his Battle Fury. So when stats up and running, he's gonna really outfarm everyone. That means that CDEC's probably not gonna be fighting with a troll anytime soon. I don't think that's been a massive issue for them anyway. One of the things for Newbee right now is that Mugi has gotten some space. I think he's been reacting too much to the movements of CDEC. They haven't given the Jar Popper nearly as much space as the Troll has in this case, but Mugi is going for a faster build. He's going for the drums first. I think that's going to allow this team to start applying some presence back to CDEC when the fight breaks up. They're going to have a numbers advantage, mainly because the Troll's not going to be there, although you would still want a couple more items. I think AQ's build-up is the one that's really going to be going painfully slow. We're going for the SNY first, just for that added durability and damage, and it's not going fast enough. His farm has dwindled. Really, just even below the Pangoli right now, not where you want the DK to be.
When you look at XM, he's already got the best law. They get smoke within vision though. Like there's a bit of a preemptive smoke coming out from CDEC. And so James, he wanted to rotate bot to try and go after him. He's already out of there. And now Newbee, they start grouping off mid. Except they're slowly just pushing into T1 with playing wolves. I think they could really go for an easy team fight here if you're seeing it. And they start moving forward on Blizzard. They just need somebody to patch. And they are definitely going down. But if you are left to just take a T1 mid tower for free, you just take it. Like, there's no reason to try and force a fight if you just take a tower for nothing. No defense.
Army just takes it for the team. Newbee very hesitant to try to fight. I don't blame them. They don't have any tools to really get going. I mean, they have the drums finally up at Mugi, but it can be enough. Again, your DK is still basically naked right now. Just power tread and 2 bracers, which is, again, still pretty darn slow. And
Saruk is not stopping the pace, to be fair. Homing missile flying out. committed Echo to try and run away, and if it leads to the SRF, it would maybe consider it worth SRF trying to do stuff, but Wizard eventually finds and a call down will come through and do get the kill. Had SRF just left after the Echo was committed, it would have lived. You wouldn't have had to worry about the Echo. But more space to be made for CDA.
They're just going to make use of that. They have kind of maximized every single sacrifice SRF has made. It usually ends up with Newbee overcommitting, and again, that was what, 3 heroes up top? They tried to chase that Bat Router. So, more space in the map, slowly still building up in that lead. Battle Fury up and running on Ame, working towards his Yasha next. And with this Battle Fury, it's very easy to shove out the lanes and clear out the camps.
Again, start pressuring that bottom tier down. I believe there is a siege on the way. There it is. So CDA just set it up to try and force it in. If it's used pretty early on, there's a secret coming. You would know it. Maybe they try to go for a team fight here up against Ame and just take a free, well, not a free troll kill, but try to take a kill. But you see CDEC, they're set up. Feed in SRF, is waiting, Tusk is waiting in the back. Newbee, they try to grab it, SRF, let's get him out, gets a lasso off from the earth. It's a great late start if YG goes down, but he doesn't yet. Wilson, Brian Thunder just bouncing around the Ame still alive with the battle trance available. He wants to pop, he won't yet, but the call down. Yeah, there's the battle trance coming out with the ensnares on.
Oh man.
Do they have the control of this troll? It looks like they do, he will go down. The Newbee do push this back. Wizards not going to be in a bit of trouble, but I think CDEC overextended. They keep going. They thought, where was XM? Who was he going after? He
was split off, I think. They were set up for that fight. It looked pretty nice when SRF got that initial lasso. One big factor was that Victoria did not get the false promise. He saved it for himself. He wasn't in range. I don't think they were completely set up for that fight. They get punished hard, and Newbee can be very happy with that bounce back, not really sacrificing anything for that exchange.
Well, it looks like XM actually ended up managing to find DK by himself. That kill. You would have liked to see the Poison Nova hit onto the side of Newbee. Like, they were very dumb. But he kind of secured the DK kill instead by himself, assuming his team was going to be able to finish off the rest. It's unfortunate to see that Newbee can be satisfied with how that fight.
Yeah,
see, it's made me realize that you need BKB on the troll. You can't. I don't think you can buy 100% certainty that you're going to win without that BKB.
The BKB would be very helpful. I think the key thing is to have Victoria really on standby properly. He was just kind of spaced too far out during the Shaker, and perhaps a bad slump up result from the Rolling Thunder. But so far, like, the Fisher has been interrupting that Rolling Thunder pretty badly for the side of Newbee. It leads to pretty messy initiations for Newbee, and that's something CDEC can play around quite nicely, but they will kind of slow the pace down. They're going to wait for Ame to perhaps finish that Yasha into whatever he builds up, perhaps the SNY. If not, maybe he'll might go for like a, I don't know, a Heaven's Halberd, although that does sound pretty early and preemptive. There's doesn't seem to be any real need for it just yet.
Well, why keep gonna put these on the DK? See that? Poison Nova is back up, and they could please just try and put in the YouTube tower again. Had that Poison Nova the whole sudden, or even a couple people, it would have been a completely different team fight back now. Because he has to. But I think it's made. Yeah, he's quite out of position. That's just XM. They really want that tier spot, and I appreciate that, but they're gonna get picked up one by one here by considering the start they had. Just run away so much from James.
James?
You talked about that kind of screwing over Wizard. Well, there we see it again.
But CDEC is just getting so much space with their forced movement here. Like, they are feeling confident enough to play in that enemy jungle. There are some pretty decent wards now from Newbee to spot them out. They haven't gotten the D wards off, and they have bled some space away. It's just a 2k advantage for CDEC, and with this opportunity, Newbee can try to pressure that tier 1, although not quite enough. And this is giving space for Ame. Does feel like CDEC is prioritizing that. You take a look at Ame now, does have the Yasha, building in his own NY into Satanic, so doesn't look like we're going to get BKB from him anytime soon.
Outtrance for the Soviet kill into Faith. Fair enough. Meanwhile, YG goes down to Victoria, so the Oracle can kill. Yeah, if you're like, you don't care about putting that battle trance on cooldown because you're not gonna fight anyway for a while. But see, why do that? But now you don't have battle trance. Do you have TPs? It looks like he's trying to wait for SRF, but he's gonna die for that.
That's really not how you'd want that.
Confusing play. I'm kind of confused by that. You've already lost the bounty.
I'm sure he was
There's reasons behind it, but
he could have just walked the other way. I don't know.
they scanned it out as well. They knew they were there.
He's playing really greedy. I think he just wanted to get as much value as possible and kind of pays with his life. Although James Invis, don't think that's the kill on DK.
Oh, they could with the Venomax, but they're gonna go after Faith instead. Much easier kill, but again, where's the backup? What happened to the Veno TP?
Got cancelled off? Fisher.
They do still find Faith. So it was a Fisher from YG that cancelled the TP?
Yeah,
Okay.
Just a long-range Fisher. And unfortunately for XM, doesn't manage to go into help in time. They still find a support for support trade, but they don't find the DK that they want. And CDEC has lost that lead. It's advantage. Newbee has managed to play catch up. Really good farm distribution so far on all their players. Even our DK just in a pretty reasonable spot now. And you see AQ queuing up that BKB. This is going to be pivotal. You're going to lose out on a lot of your damage on XM with that BKB coming out. You're going to have to rely on SRF's lasso to really catch out that DK before the BKB flies out, and there are just so many high priority targets that I'm not sure if that's really what they want to go for. Last swing the DK. They don't have the best burst to burn through him at the moment, and that will just kind of get worse as you take a look at our Pangolier. He's pretty close to finishing up that pipe as well.
He is. Been working on it after that Vladimir's offering, and we have a smoke on smoke situation. Ahmed's gonna pop the smoke of YG, and they're just gonna get out the ES now. SR Firefly, they get vision. Ahmed spots them. So draft, if SRF isn't the one finding the lasso, you don't have a way to start it. You don't really want it to be Ahmed to start the fight on the troll. So he's the main guy you want to keep alive throughout all this.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky for CDEC to force these fights. I think one thing they're looking for is perhaps James Blink, yet he does have it queued up, so you're gonna have a lot more options to start these fights once that Tusk does have the Blink. But with all that movement around, he just decides to sneak into the Roche. It is being pinged out, but I don't think CDEC themselves are aware. It's just you be kind of trying to be cautious.
They probably should be aware, John. Their Tier 1 tower just went down. They smoke up, they do know. Roshan getting low. Nice plan break, knocking everyone out. SRF jumps in. Lasso is gonna be there, but false promise. No, he didn't actually lasso yet. He has been false promise, he's alive. Who do you want to go for though with the lasso? He doesn't opt to go for anyone yet. Meanwhile, Mookie does finish off SRF. White is low. So they also find AQ. The Aegis has been taken by Arme. He took care of the Roshan. Now going after Faith on the Grimstroke. They take him out as well. Wizard, can you TP up? You can. So, see that great team fight for them. It was just a very awkward team fight for Newbee as they just... It looked bad at the start when they were about to lose SRF. He didn't even get lasso, by the way. He just held on to it.
Yeah, it's down to Victoria actually being able to use that false promise, but enough time, and Newbee was pretty rapid from that. You have to remember that flame break, shoving the gyrocopter out was pretty big. You know, shoving 12 tree over the boosters out of the bed into the edges, making it hard for them to come back in, but enough time for CDEC to get their positioning in place and really force the fight onto Newbee. They miss out on a pretty big objective. They still have a couple of things to wait for. They were fighting without BKB of AQ. It's still going to be a long time, but I think once you have that tool up and running, it's going to be a better fight. You've got the pipe now in Wizard. You've got a lot more durability next time you do engage. Just a lot of tools just slightly missing for you to really turn the tides.
They are really going anti-DK on XM right now. He's got the Solar Crest plus the IS Cubby queued up on this meta. We did see this, that it was a bit of a meme when this new patch came out. If you get the Spirit Vessel plus IS Skadi plus a Veno, it was minus reach. So it is purely anti-AQ and anti-Oogie if you can't steal. Bot lane, good shot. It's a bit early. Gonna make a check shot. Playing out. Fate getting slow bush reach in time. Does. Poor old Fate gonna have to take death.
That was pretty funny to watch. I'm not sure if you caught it, but XM was standing right in front of Wizard, and Wizard didn't have Rolling Thunder, so XM just took the longest TP in the world down to that outpost for the kill. It was so long. There were so many pings from Wizard to just say, hey, I want him dead. But, you know, he didn't have backup. Just kind of sad.
Lane, nice lasso coming up to AQ. That's the Venom. But it seems down bot lane right now to really have what it takes to kill him. They could always go after Wizard instead. And it looks like he has Swashbuckle, but he can't commit it through the stairs. Fisher, no, won't be enough. Victoria will have the Purifying Flames. And it's kind of intrigued because seeing him keep going with that XM to these team fights. Had you had the Veno there, a DK 100% dead. But yeah, but they still have a chance.
They're applying really good pressure across two lanes, although you do finally see XM work his way down mid.
I guess they just wanted the bot P2 as well. Like, it was so low anyway. Very slow.
Yeah, they've been throwing their bodies at that tier 2 for a very long time. I'm sure they're just happy to take it out. I think they're going to be setting their sights onto that tier 2 up top next. Want to really clear out this entire map before going into the high ground.
What? Dan, that's behind the trees right now. He's trying to get to that satanic state on his gyrocopter, but still he's lack damage.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's contributing enough in the middle of the fight. I think it's really down more to YC trying to find that initiation. That's going to be the key part for Newbee's plan. They've got the Blink and the Shaker. They're working slowly towards the Ags and the Shaker as well. So once YC has those tools, it's going to be much easier to counterfight into CDEC. But CDEC is already playing a bit forward, trying to find something with their smoke.
Lasso, Bishop, and in that bar, he already blinked, and they found the main target move, but they don't make the jump. Soulbind, too threatening for them apparently, is Moogie, behaving well aware of, what never used it, now he does use it up. So, has the Aegis gonna start moving forward, but no, they don't really have the target they want. They may settle for Wizard. YG, and he does catch two of them with the Fissure. It's a lot of damage for XM. He gets the false promise, commits the poison Nova. They'll start, AQ falling low. They do also commit battle transfer. YG does die. X meanwhile does some false promise, and now Wizard has been caught out. YG coming back in, but you don't really have much to throw out here. And he held onto the Fissure a bit too long. Even Moogie falling very low in his own base. See it. So Powerhouse, there is literally zero buybacks on the map. The only one to just come up is Victoria off the Oracle. That is not going to help Newbee.
Yeah, it looked a bit iffy when YC didn't manage to bust anyone big. He really just fell apart from there. Really good space from CDEC to miss that shaker slam, and without that slam, there's just no defense that you can expect from Newbee.
It was a good start. It just wasn't enough. False Tori just so well done. Yeah, and they go last out of tower. Roshan probably be up for a couple minutes.
I mean, it was a really good opportunity to try to kill Ame as well. His Aegis expired right at the end of the fight. Just couldn't find him. Fate.
Oh,
Gone.
Faith. Top lane. Now, without Faith up, they know he doesn't have buyback available, so they're just going to start moving towards that tier 3 tower. 30-minute down here. I thought Wizards said that in all chat. I don't know, by the chat they've been happy within their team, they don't sound very happy right now. Fisher comes out. Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah. Nah. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I think no words for that.
Kingston, John, you said at the start of the game that YG was ruining Wizard's day with these fishes, and poor old Wizard, he's it is now really happening.
I mean, it's been happening for a while. Like, he gets the Rolling Thunder off, the fissure blocked him from getting the bounces. And yeah, there you go. So he's trying to change his tune, some PMA, get that team spirit up. You know, it's hard though to bounce back from this. 14k deficit, 16 to 20. You lost your melee racks, and I mean, it's just so brave just walking around. He doesn't have a basher. He has the same pretty much set to just do whatever he really wants here on the troll, and you can't say the same thing about Newbee, right? We've been sitting on just the BKB Ags on Mookie for a while. It hasn't been to great effect. You have had AQ's BKB. He has a 10-second charge that he could try to surprise on the CDEC.
They're gonna try. Fisher can be there. That's the one target they need to get first, and it is Victoria. Now, if they can find Ame or SRF, but more particularly Ame, this could be a successful smoke tank, and they do get with the Rolling Thunder, but that'll be it. Buyback is there from Victoria. They want to find now. They start moving up. CDA. They can't lose Victoria again like this, but he's being jumped on. He's falling low. They get a little soft. But what an echo coming out from YG. He hits on all of them, but there's no damage. XM commits the Poison Nova. And YG, he goes Wizard on the Pangolier, and AQ trying to TP out, but the Walrus Punch comes just in the nick of time.
Middle barracks are under attack.
That's echo you could have asked for. It just
No follow-up.
It's pretty. There really was just no follow-up to it. Just no.
They're not set up. There you go. They actually tap out. Yeah, I don't blame them. It was not quite the ideal game for Newbee. I think this time around they did run better draft than game one, so they didn't have issues with playing around cooldowns, didn't have issues too much with timing. It was down to the fact that they couldn't take any fights. I think the execution